everybody. Welcome to SGTV. To any returning viewers, welcome back. To the new viewers, welcome to the channel. Spy and I make content highlighting games, industry news, and events in the gaming community, and sometimes we do commentary on things going on in the gaming industry. Anyway, I'm a guest that interests you, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button and make sure notifications are on. That way you'll know right away when new videos drop. Right now we put out videos every Wednesday. We're going to be swapping it up this coming week and trying a Monday, Wednesday, and possibly Friday schedule. So more to come on that. Alright, so in today's video we're going to talk to Spy about his thoughts on World of Warcraft. So, how long have you been playing?
So, Jack, I've been playing WoW since Warlords of Draenor. When it was called WoD, I always shortened it down to that. But let me go ahead and just talk about it. When WoD came out, I started the game.
I don't mean to cut in, but that's a really just somebody did a terrible job on that acronym.
It's a horrible name. Anyway, so I started in WoD technically, I guess, but I was there at the pre-patch in Mist of Pandaria, the end of Mist of Pandaria, going into Warlords. And I started Warlords. It was my first time actually playing. I'd been watching my older brother been playing since I was a kid, as young as I can remember, so I always had an interest in the game. And I played all the way up until Legion, where I took a break from... I'm answering the next question, ain't I?
Well, I was going to ask you what your favorite expansions have been. So it seems like it's pretty clear that you've been playing for a while. You've been through quite a few expansions. What were your favorite ones?
Legion was definitely an uphill one. It just kept going. New content dropped. The systems were good. The legendary system, while faulty, definitely added a sense of enjoyment into being out in the outer world. It was a reason to be there again. It was nice. But Warlords always stays kind of true to my heart, even though it's one of the worst expansions to have ever launched. Only because it was my first expansion, and I really, that expansion, I spent so much time leveling every single class in the game, getting to know the mechanics, and since there wasn't much else to do, I just really focused down on the numbers and understanding the systems.
Cool. To follow up on that question, were there any expansions you didn't play, or I guess maybe it's better to say that, or to ask that, were there any expansions that weren't really engaging for you, didn't draw you in?
So, after Legion, I said I quit when Battle for Azeroth came out. I played the first 2 weeks. It just didn't click. I don't know, I was in, I think, Tal Bator, or something like that. It was a dungeon that they had, and it was Mythic Plus. I believe at the time it was just Mythic, or maybe Heroic. I don't remember if it was open yet to Mythic. But either way, we were in that dungeon, and something about it just didn't work. I don't know what it was, but the game just wasn't doing it for me anymore, and the systems that were in Legion had become kind of sterilized in BFA. They kind of took a lot of the reason out of them, and I quit for the entire expansion of Battle for Azeroth. And once Shadowlands came out, I was really excited, even though not many people really were excited. I remember not many people talking about it, but when it came out, I played the first month, and I don't know, Torghast really killed me, which is one of the bigger things in the game, and I had my stats figured out quite early. The systems had become homogenized, everything felt very samey, and I just kind of felt like WoW had lost its way.
I got you. So I don't think we can talk about World of Warcraft without me asking you, what was your what class did you prefer to play as?
I was typically a paladin. I played hunter when I first started the game. It was my love and joy. And then I disliked the changes in Legion, which actually most hunters, from what I understand, really liked the changes, but I didn't. And I swapped over to paladin. And then I played paladin for a long time. And for player versus player, or PvP, I always played a monk. The monks were just in my heart from day one.
So when did the rogue come in?
So the rogue character came in. So my first character ever in WoW was a rogue, and he got to level 63, and I quit him completely and made a hunter. And I kept that character on my account forever because it was just... And that character never hit max level. If I logged on today, or now actually the level squish is now today, so he's lower than he would have been. But if I logged on back in Battle for Azeroth, he would still been level 80 when the level cap was 120. I just never played him. I loved him. He was one of my favorite characters, just never got into him. So I don't know, I always had that rogue mindset. I always called it that, or something, similar to that, because there's a mindset that comes with it where you just, that loot's mine, I'm taking that, I'm ninja in that, give me that.
Right.
Take what you want kind of thing, the mentality of a pug group, pickup group.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of guys you don't know, they're all going for the same loot, and you're the one that's going to get it.
Right. Little scoundrels. So, for anybody that doesn't know, inside the WoW community, there's something known as classic and retail. Which one of those do you prefer?
So when Classic Vanilla came out, I would have said that for the first month. And then Battle for Azeroth was out around the same time, and it was not good. So I would say probably Classic when it came out. And then Burning Crusade it's near and dear to my heart because I remember it the most from when my brother was playing the game and being a kid watching him. But there is some monetization and some things that Blizzard does that definitely have tainted that experience for me with that.
Alright, so we're going to get into the meat of why we're having this little interview here. And it revolves around this. There's a lot of members of the community who are bringing up issues, being very outspoken with retail WoW and where it's heading. What are your thoughts on that?
The community is definitely a fickle one in WoW. I understand, a lot about the game. I used to raid Heroic a long time ago, back in Legion, since a long time ago now. And back in Warlords, I was in some pretty high-end guilds as well. So, I really, seeing how the systems work and how everything else, it's starting to feel a bit outdated to some other games. Not outdated, archaic. WoW has a fantastic franchise, and I think Bellular said this at one point. He said, WoW is a fantastic franchise that they just don't do enough with, or something to that tone. And I agree with him. It's a fantastic franchise, and in the community itself, they're not getting catered to in the right way that they want. They're getting these half band-aid fixes and things that make them run on a treadmill. I think a lot of WoW players are just tired. They're just exhausted with the same grind, the same systems being downplayed every new expansion. Same system, but just downgraded and easier to do and less I don't know, less going on and with the brain. You know, you turn your mind off almost. I think a lot of them are tired of it. I think a lot of people want a return to some kind of form for what the game should be, or at least what they think it should be.
I get that. I think it's safe to say that certain franchises in the gaming industry bring about communities that are like it's almost a devout like cult following, really. You know, not with any kind of negative connotation or anything. It's just they're huge fans. Like, you know, fan art comes out of it, cosplay comes out of it, all this, you know, all the stuff comes along with it.
Yeah.
And World of Warcraft is, you know, it's up there in that. So
the fan base there is very loyal.
Right.
But they're loyal enough to deal with systems that they disagree with.
Right.
And I think that shows a lot of faith in the game itself or the franchise.
Right. So I kind of want to build on what your thoughts about the issues that many in the community are bringing up. What are your personal issues with the direction that it's heading?
I think my major thing is the homogenization of the classes. A lot of the classes used to be very... they weren't different than each other necessarily, but they had their own flavor. You know, like, or not even flavor, but they had interesting things that they could do. I think Classic, if anything, has showed all of the community that classes used to be a completely different experience. You know, when you were a paladin, you were a paladin. You didn't use any other systems that a rogue used. You barely used anything like a warrior even. I mean, everything was different. You know, some classes could interrupt, some couldn't. Some classes could do this, some other couldn't. And that made the game pretty unbalanced. You know, some classes happened to have gotten just everything handed right to them. Shaman. And because of that, you know, it created a bit of an imbalance. And I think Blizzard has been trying to fight that pretty hard, going back way a long time ago, where they want the classes to be on the same footing with each other in every type of content.
Right.
And I think that's a huge issue, but I also like it in another way as well, but I think they're going the wrong way about it. A fire mage and a warlock do the same things now. One class fantasy is that he's doing dark magic so that he can get his power, and the other one is a scholar. I don't really see how those types of people would be the same type of playstyle. I mean, those seem very different approaches, different ways of living. If you think about it, you know, rogues use combo points. They build them up and they spend them on abilities, right? And it's a simple concept, but why does a paladin have a similar system of holy power where you build up 5, the same even number as combo points, and you spend them on more abilities? It devalues the class and the class you're playing when you play the same way as another guy who is doing a whole different world, is living in a whole different world. I mean, a rogue and a paladin, player-wise, they're different people.
Yeah, they absolutely should be playing in different styles, I would say.
Right. You know, you would think, and the only thing that really separates them is one wields a two-hander and has plate armor, and the other wears leather and wields daggers at this point. I mean, and stealth, you know, they got stealth. But I mean, the main crux of inside the combat is almost the exact same mechanics that you'd find in those other types of things, except the fact that paladins don't have to worry about mana anymore, or they don't have to worry about mana as much. So they can build their combo point like system quicker and spend it quicker as well. That's really the only major difference. You know, they don't have an energy system like rogues do. Mm-hmm. I think that brings the biggest issue to the game as it stands today. And then briefly to talk about, I think I think content that players are required to do to be competitive or in the same game as anyone else, it's too much. You know, you have to go to do Torghast every week, and you have to finish the quest, and you also have to go and do every floor that you can at the max level so that you can get your, you know, essences to craft your legendaries. But then now they're rolling out a system where some of the slots that you may have legendaries just don't work anymore. Like, you can't have them there. You have to have this new item that they're giving us. So what happens is that people who made this ring, well, guess what? Now they have to go redo Torghast to get that thing, to then make the same legendary. It's a loot treadmill. It's continuously replacing things that you should be working towards bettering, instead of just replacing. Replacing isn't fun. Being able to know what armor you're wearing, go, you know, that is the Sword of Aeons, you know what I mean? That is important, not just, this is a generic sword I found off of a dungeon boss and I don't remember the name of it because it warforged or whatever to be with a socket.
Right. So, it sounds a lot like going off of, I guess, a couple of things that you said. It sounds a lot like your biggest issue with it sounds a lot like your biggest issue with the direction that they're heading in is one that, you know, I know we're talking about World of Warcraft, but a lot of game franchises struggle with this, is finding a balance. Something comes out and, you know, it's highly OP, right? Like, so, like, I play Call of Duty, you know, off topic here. I play Call of Duty.
Right.
They give you an operator skill. It's overpowered, just straight out. It's overpowered, and instead of, it's hard. They nerf it, and it seems like it's just really hard to find the balance, the correct balance for, hey, this exists, but it's its own thing also.
Right.
In this, you know, in with these qualities, and it functions in this way, serves this purpose, you know, and it allows this type of play.
It's the difference between does the power of the ability matter, or does the functionality and what it can give you furthering your own build matter more? I could argue that taking a 40% movement speed decrease on an attack could be more beneficial than just, here's more damage. More damage is boring. Less damage is even worse. Just make things more unique to the personality of the class or the personality of the specialization that you play. When you want to play a Retribution Paladin, you really should feel like an Inquisitor badass who's ready to, you know, charge into battle for glory and honor. And when you play a Fury Warrior, you should feel like a barbarian. You should feel like you're berserking, like every slash is a new wave of energy. That is the kind of gameplay that makes things interesting, when the things that you use come together to form around itself. Right. Not that everything that you have is standardized.
Right. It kind of harkens back to the days of, you know, earlier console gaming, and even some, you know, since the advent of the internet and gaming on PCs and stuff like that, but where you had like a job class type system, and
right,
you know, they were very defined in that, like, if you play, I'm trying to think, if you play a red mage, you're gonna play this way. If your character is a black mage, you're gonna play this way. If you're a fighter,
you know, I'd say it even goes back farther. It goes back to tabletop, you know,
right,
where when you played a rogue, you had certain things you couldn't do.
Right.
And it's not that you couldn't do them eventually.
Right.
It's that you were a guy who had specialized in a certain type of lifestyle, and when you're playing the character, it's because you want that kind of lifestyle out of your character. You don't care as much about, like, if you had a class that was built around the class, people wouldn't worry so much about the numbers of the class.
Right.
As I think is pretty evident when you talk about Elder Scrolls Online and how damage, while yes, important to many players, the ability to manage your resources and be an effective member in multiple different ways, I mean, being even a utility class, it's respected more because it's all about what you bring to the table, not how much damage you bring.
Right. So essentially what we're coming to is blurred lines is what's happening.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Well, everybody, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, hit that like button, share it, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Doing these things helps to grow the community that we're trying to build here at SpyPie Gaming. So anybody watching this, I got a question for you. What's your favorite class to play in World of Warcraft? You can leave an answer for us in the comments down below. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you stuck around this long, we're eternally grateful. We know you didn't have to, and we will see you in the next video.
Spy and Jack signing off. See y'all later.